Hello everybody, it's me, your friendly neighborhood, and as you guys have probably come to know, I am a huge fan of Spider-Man. From my burning passions for the comics, the movies, and the games, you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody arguing that I don't love Spider-Man. There's this little known game, I'm not sure if you guys heard about it, it's called Marvel Spider-Man, or as it's properly dubbed, Spider-Man PS4, because I don't think anybody likes the name Marvel Spider-Man thanks to that god-awful cartoon. This game came out back in like 2018 and has just been recently re-released on PC, and the game has come to pretty much mostly positive acclaim. Gameplay's solid, the story is pretty solid, though there are some narrative decisions that I do see some people complaining about and having valid thoughts about. But there is a point to where sometimes that criticism just comes off as extreme nitpicking. There's a point to where you have to stop and ask yourself, is this really criticism, or am I looking too deep into this? Case in point is a YouTuber by the name of SK, who has a bit double the following than I do. I still need 3,000 subs, please help me. I've watched him a few times before to hear out his criticisms on certain Spider-Man media, because I'm not a little pansy that doesn't mind his favorite media being critiqued. Come on, I watched Nostalgia Critic's review on the Raimi movies. I'm not gonna think it's the end of the world because somebody critiqued my favorite movie or video game. And I can even give him leeway on his spectacular Spider-Man video. But he also made a video that I'd argue would be his most infamous, which is Marvel Spider-Man PS4, where storytelling crumbles. No, your eyes do not deceive you, this video really is 2 hours long, and yes, I did sit through it because I wanted to hear out his criticism, I wanted to hear what he had to say. I feel like some people may agree with me when I say this video is the prime definition of you're overthinking it, but there is one point that I just completely could not agree with. He makes the argument that somehow PS4 Spider-Man creates some kind of police state when he assists them setting back up the surveillance towers they had that they used to track crimes. I will play the clip from his video to give you a better understanding as to why he feels the way he does, what he uses to explain why he feels the way he does, and then I will give my response as to why he's wrong. But anyway, roll the clip.
Let's talk about the existence of Oscorp surveillance towers. We need to address what it means for the world and the implications of how Spider-Man modifies them. Spider-Man is asked by Yuri to fix the Oscorp surveillance towers that have a city-wide reach. Yuri tells Spider-Man that the NYPD started using Oscorp surveillance towers this year.
We spent too much integrating Oscorp surveillance tech.
Worth it though, right?
It was. Until an hour ago. The system went down. Citywide. Every tower. Right now we need to get the towers back online. Fast.
Spider-Man is aware of the concept of police corruption, and his most recent and notable example would be Wilson Fisk's Empire. These surveillance towers are meant to help direct police attention to crimes, but Peter modifies them. He states,
I can modify these towers to track more than just crimes.
So initially, the Oscorp towers were only tracking crimes. It was Spider-Man who decided to modify them to track even more stuff, perhaps private material, to which he then says,
Score! Towers are picking up all kinds of RFID signals now, including one nearby.
This is how he finds his first missing backpack, and in order to find the rest, he has to keep modifying the towers. Ignoring how bafflingly irresponsible it is of him to have webbed-up backpacks just laying around with personal information that can prove Peter owns the material within these webbed bags, Spider-Man has now given the police, while aware of police corruption, a major reach in not only being able to track Peter's backpacks that have ties to his secret identity, but also tap into the privacy of your everyday citizens. RFIDs have serious security and privacy concerns because they can easily be abused.
Hidden readers. Tags can be read from a distance, not restricted to line of sight, by readers that can be incorporated invisibly into nearly any environment where human beings or items congregate. RFID readers have already been experimentally embedded into floor tiles, woven into carpeting and floor mats, hidden in doorways, and seamlessly incorporated into retail shelving and counters, making it virtually impossible for a consumer to know when or if he or she was being scanned. Individual tracking and profiling. If personal identity were linked with unique RFID tag numbers, individuals could be profiled and tracked without their knowledge or consent. For example, a tag embedded in a shoe could serve as a de facto identifier for the person wearing it, even if item-level information remains generic. Identifying items people wear or carry could associate them with for example, particular events like political rallies.
And now the entire NYPD has the capacity to do so, courtesy of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. There is not even a hint of concern on Peter's end that his privacy and the privacy of New York civilians can easily be invaded by corrupt officers, by his own modification to their surveillance towers.
So quite a bit to unpack in that clip, along with the major accusation that Peter irresponsibly allows the police, corrupt cops especially, a wider range of access to information via Peter's tinkering with the towers and modifying them. Now, this may come as a shock or bamboozle to some people, and I don't understand how SK didn't think of this himself while replaying the game, but the towers are only modified on Peter's end. Yes, you do hear him say, I bet I can modify these towers to track more than RFID signals. What he's saying is that will only be on his end, because after the second tower, we then find a backpack. Yes, he does complain about the backpack soon after this clip, just before I cut it off. But only Peter can see these modifications, not the police. Now, some people are probably having a hard time understanding why I've come to that conclusion. Well, for one, we never actually hear the police or Yuri even say anything about it, which leads me to believe the modifications Peter made, the police do not have access to it, or else Yuri would question Spider-Man about it. You'd actually hear in-game dialogue or even random police conversations remarking on, hey, we can see extra shit on here now. Whoever fixed the towers must have given us a wider range of access, or something along those lines. That's why Peter's not that concerned when he modifies the towers, and even remarks that he found another RFID signal leading to one of his backpacks, because only he has access to these modifications. Now, some may probably be confused on how the fuck that works, so I'm going to use an example from one of my favorite video games, Minecraft. Now, in Minecraft, I like to use a mod that changes the bow and arrow to a Colt Python, because I'm a slut for revolvers. Now, this modification changes the entire model of the bow and arrow, the way you hold the bow and arrow, and also changes the sound effect to allow gunshot effect. Now, if I were to go into an online server with this modification active, nobody else would be able to see or hear the modification's effects. Only I would, because I'm the only person that has access to the modification. They can't hear the gunshots that sounds like your average night in Detroit. Only I can. And Peter in the game has shown himself to be pretty knowledgeable when it comes to decrypting, encrypting. Case in point, the police towers. So wouldn't it make sense that Peter would know how to make these modifications to where only he has access to them and encrypts it so that no other police person or anybody within the force or even anybody else who has access to be able to fix the towers cannot access any of the modifications he made because he encrypted them? That's honestly all there is to it. I'm surprised there are people who actually believe that Peter irresponsibly has given police access to signals they didn't have before. Like, the answer is just so simple. How could you miss it? I feel like some people might in the back of their head, like SK, know this is the case, but the answer is too simple. It's a lot more complex to get people thinking, has Peter irresponsibly given the police access or a wider range access to people's personal information, including information that could compromise his position as Spider-Man? But the answer is right there in front of you. He just doesn't give the police access to the modifications he made, or else we would have heard about them. But anyway, I'll send this video off to SK, see what he thinks about it. Let me know your guys' opinions in the comments below, or what you think of my opinions about the whole Spider-Man PS4 and whole Peter creates a police state conspiracy. If you want to actually watch SK's video, a link will be down in the description below. But once again, I will warn you, it is 2 hours long. Bring popcorn. And I do highly suggest you watch some of SK's other more, better videos, like the No Way Home one I mentioned before. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. See ya!